All right. First things first, before I get into the big topic of the day, who was on my hot seat last week? Was it Victor? Does anybody remember? Trying to look.
I think it was Victor.
It was Victor. My mind wasn't escaping me. Victor, are you there? I see your camera's off, but I did see you for a split second. We'll see if he comes. But on that, who did the homework from last week's call? Who remembers the homework from last week's call?
I messed up, brother. I didn't get to do the homework.
Well, since you messed up, why don't you remind the class what the homework was?
I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm on the road.
Oh man, you were just failing on every angle. Sal, I know you got your notebook in front of you. What was the homework?
Something to do about finding your largest competitors.
It was something to do with that. What was the something part? Who remembers?
Was hack a competitor, know their online presence, confirm they are a competitor. If you need to call them, league magnets. If they have anything free, grab it, see what they're doing.
Yeah.
What their automation is once you queue into their system and pay attention to it. What they're doing and not doing.
So how many of you guys started that process? I gave you kind of like really clear things to do in the week. Look for them, find them, see if they really are. Maybe opt into something if they had something. How many of you guys did it? By show of hands, thumbs up, something like that. Kurt, I saw your hand go up first. You did?
We didn't opt in for anything. Went
Okay.
through and researched them. We did verify that they may not be the biggest competitor, but they are a significant competitor in our market. So we did a little research on them, really just confirmed, because they're well known in this area. So it really just confirmed, their status, the amount of work they're doing. But we didn't get to the point where we opted in. We had some other phone lists for our own marketing that we were working on. That kind of, took precedence, but we still have that to do.
Okay.
Curtis, who did you
Excuse me?
Who did you research?
We researched New Western.
Okay. My suggestion, Kurt, just take maybe an hour this week and start doing some more due diligence on them digitally. Take a look at their social profiles, take a look at their online profiles, take a look at what they're doing from a digital standpoint. If I search some real estate, if I put myself in the shoe of the home seller and I search things like I'm them, do I see things of them popping up? Because that's what you're up against, right? Go to their website, take a look at their website, compare it to yours, kind of dissect it, and where you start to build that kind of game plan of, all right, I see where I'm lacking. They're well known, they're doing a ton. They're obviously doing some stuff right. Where am I falling short? Right. On that, take an hour. Doesn't have to be a ton of time. I'm not asking you guys to spend, a significant amount of your week focused on that, not focused on other stuff. But take 1 hour. Maybe take a half hour today, take another half hour another day, something like that, and just start to dig into it. Through that, you're going to start to figure out a plan, or you're going to be able to figure out something to at least show up on one of these calls and say, hey, here's what I'm figuring out, and collectively we can help put a plan together around that. Make sense?
Makes sense, and we'll get it done.
Sounds good. And that goes for everybody, right? This isn't, something that I would suggest sleeping on. And the reason why is, how many of you guys remember the scenario, the situation, the certain company that I mentioned that's right here in our office last week? Who remembers some of the details about them?
They were just blasting calls out, they were looking for leads. I forgot exactly what their process was, but I know it was real estate.
Yeah. Through conversation this week, really funny story. Shawn, being the marketer that he is, purposely marketed right in front of their face with the way I set the office, purposely leaving a door open with our REI banner up and these type of things to get their attention. Their owner walked in the other day, wanted to chat. And through conversation, I came to find out they're actually a competitor of every real estate investor. Their process is really nothing different than you guys. They're just taking a different angle and stepping in front with the real estate agent to handle it. And here's what I mean. They step in, they do an as-is appraisal on the home. Pretty similar to what we do, right? They then turn around and give the seller somewhere between 70 and 75% of the appraised value up front. They close on it, take control of the house. Pretty similar to what a real estate investor does, right? They then fund the renovation. They rehab the house. Pretty similar to what you guys do. They then turn around and go back to that same agent, relist the property with the same agent. This is why it's very attractive for the real estate agent. Relist the property with the real estate agent and put the house up for sale. They sell the house on the back end as the seller now. When it's all said and done, they keep a percentage as their fees, typically about 5% of that sale price. Real estate agent gets their 6% commission. Closing costs get paid out. They also take 1% for every month of holding that they had. So if that renovation through sale was 3 months, they take their 5% plus their 3% for the 3 months of holding time to cover their holding costs. And whatever is left over, who do you think it goes to?
Previous owner.
The previous seller, the original owner of the home. They close within 10 to 15 days with that original seller, take control, go through this whole process, turn it on the back end. Now they're backed by, they've got a fund of money out of New York, Wall Street. Who's their competitor?
Everybody.
Us.
You guys.
What company was that, Shawn?
Company name doesn't matter. I'll eventually tell you that because there's two big boys in the space. But I don't want you to get wrapped around the company just yet. Company name doesn't really matter. It's look at the process. That's
Probably Zillow.
that's a big competitor.
One of the iBuyers is doing something like that. They've been advertising here. And I think the only difference is that they promise a certain number to the seller. And if they get anything over that amount, they give that back. So that's another angle that they're using.
Yeah.
I forgot which of the iBuyers it was.
Through discussion, their entire team, it's nothing but a bunch of salespeople. They're nothing but a bunch of you guys.
Shawn, can you repeat that? I got lost in the point what they're giving back to the seller.
Whatever's left on the back end sale. I don't know how far you lost.
Mhm.
You can kind of go back in the replay and catch that part.
Yeah, I just lost, I understand you're giving everything so instead of taking it, so they know exactly what their profit is and whatever else is above their profit, they're just giving it back to the seller. Is that what you mean?
When it closes on the back end, whatever is left goes to the original seller, yes. Now, Sal, to your point, they're all basically acquisition assistants. Is really
Right.
what they are. They're responsible for generating their own leads. They're responsible for finding opportunity. So they played the angle. They're attacking real estate agents, going to real estate agents saying, hey, you got any listings? We're looking to buy, blah, 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 blah. Here's our little spiel. Here's how it works. Well, there really is no downside to the real estate agent. When you really look at their process, there really is no downside to the seller.
Oh, there isn't.
And at the end of the day, they're just a rehabber. No different than you guys. They took the we buy houses for cash, turned it on their head, put a different message to it. They're saying the same thing without saying the same thing. Sounds
Well, the
familiar?
general connotation of we buy houses fast is you're going to lowball me, so I'm not interested. So they've taken that out of the picture. That's what a lot of our competitors are doing right now. They're not even saying we buy cash. They're saying we buy houses.
So the reason I'm asking you to, or suggesting to start look at your competition, I don't know if this company's in your market. I don't know if the other companies act like highly active in your market. Some of you guys are in small markets. I bet they're not even, a thought, but they are planning to push. These guys, they've got 30,000 agents across the country that they have relationship with and work with right now. 30,000 in the grand scheme of it is really not that big, but it is a significant amount if they're in your market like they are here in LA. So the big boy, let me pull the search up and I'll show you. These are the guys on the ad didn't pop. Let me pull it on my phone to see if I can show you on my phone. Mobily, the one other company shows up for the other company's name. It's pretty funny. No, it didn't pop up. They must not be running that search anymore. I did the search the other day and we searched their brand name and their competition came up for their in their brand search. So this is the company that's right down the hall, right here. This is Zoom Casa. I think it's Clavio or something like that is the other big one that's out there. So those are the two brands that we know of that are doing this. Now, I would suggest taking a look, seeing if this is a thing, talk to some agents in your market, see if they've been getting pinged by these type of companies throwing this type of program out there. Because as things change, agents are looking for creative ways to find listings in a changing market where things like time on market is going to extend. It's not as hot of a market, these type of things, right? Well, this sounds the normal seller who's kind of blinded to the only way I can sell my house is with an agent is going to start to see the ability to have something very similar that you guys basically offer without involving another component. So my question before I get into what I want to talk about taking cold to hot from a lead standpoint is, if you had to sell against that, what is a couple things that stand out to you that you would sell against?
Time.
What do you mean time?
We would close up. I mean, they're actually not selling their house until
They are.
the
They're
end. They're not.
closing in 10 to 15 days.
They're getting all their profits.
They're getting 70 to 75% of the current appraised value of the current condition of the house in 10 to 15 days.
Well, then I would sell on the local side of things, and we're local versus
They're local. They got a team in your backyard, and I'm an agent working and offering this program.
well, we'd get them 100% of their money in a quicker
You're
amount
not
of
going to
time.
get them 100% of their appraised value.
Oh, well, yeah, no, you're right. That's tough.
So what are you going to sell against?
Sell against the market conditions that are fluctuating. You don't know what you're going to get. The difference is with us, when we close, that's what you get. But with this, it could be higher, but it may not be because markets are fluctuating.
But I've already gotten 70 to 75%.
That's about what you'll get.
But that's what you're going to give me, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's about 70 to 75, maybe 80% max.
The difference is you don't have to deal with the realtor.
Now we're starting to pick up on something. What do you mean, Sal?
Well, there's a realtor play in there one way or another, whether it's 1%, 2%, 3%, or 6%. It's usually one of those things. You're not dealing with the realtor. So depending on the cost of the house, you're going to have to add anywhere from 1 to And if there's a realtor on the back end, you're going to have to add that. I mean, the realtor we use, she takes 1% and the other person takes 3%. So we're down to 4%. But if it's full-fledged realtors, who knows what those realtors are taking? That's a lot of money in some high-end markets.
That's one point we can sell against. Anything else coming to mind?
Serving them beyond money,
What do you mean, Segal?
like seeing what their pain points are, if they need more time to move, or they sometimes they need more time to close because they don't know where the next place they are moving to.
Well, these guys, they can close in 10 to 15 days. Doesn't mean they have to. They can close on the same timelines.
Giving them opportunity to leave their whatever they don't need behind, and we take care of it. We take care, they just pack the bags of what they need and they go, and the rest we take care of. Seeing what their pain points are, if they need help in moving, then offering that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. You started to allude on something. I thought that was the track you were going to go, but she started to say like some of them need some time to move. Well, I've done this in the past. I don't know if any of you guys have done it, but we've done it where we've closed on a property so that they can have their money and then let them lease the property for like 30 days from us. Because they needed money to whatever, set up a move, pay for the move, put a down payment on something else, whatever the case. But they needed some time to also get all that in place once they found the next location to move.
That's a sell and stay model.
Yeah, we've done that
Yeah,
over the years.
The other thing is to see who's paying the closing fees. I know in most cases with us, at 70%, we're paying the closing fees. And are they? Because that could be another 2.5% to 3%, depending on the market. So you add that along with the realtor fees, you're knocking on the door at about 9%. That's quite a bit.
Do we agree that something like that, the window of differentiation, the window of possibilities of what makes us different than the other guy gets smaller?
But
It's like
but
the
we
analogy-
have to do a better job as salespeople to expand that and make that the bitch level. We used to call that the bitch level. What is the bitch level, or the pain point? You have to make that pain point more obvious to them, and it may or may not hit, but in a lot of cases it is going to hit.
I'm going to reframe a little bit of what you said. It's not get better as salespeople. It's get better at what?
Listening.
Nope.
Customer service.
What happens
Marketing.
before sales?
Marketing.
Marketing. Thank you. Our marketing's job is to set up our sales. Our sales job is to reiterate our marketing front. Sales and marketing alignment, right? Our sales needs to be set by a distinct message, which leads me into what I was going to talk about today, and that is the 5-star prospect. I ran out of room.
I know what else we can do. We can make the house credible, so they don't need to get it all ready. They don't need to do.
They don't have to do that with the other company. They're no different than you stepping in and saying the same thing on that one.
How about coming in with a tax strategy and suggesting seller financing instead of cash out immediately to save them on taxes?
There's an angle, right? If it makes sense, these are some things because that all they're looking at is just the cash play, right? Cash in your hand pretty quick. So all of this kind of stems back to what I like to call this 5-star prospect. But before I even go into what the 5-star is, I want to nail down the difference between lead versus an actual prospect. And can somebody tell me, what do you think the difference between a lead and a prospect actually is?
Well, a
Well-
lead is just contact information, or a prospect is somebody who's actually potentially going to work with you.
Ding, ding, ding. A lead is nothing more than you have contact info for them. Name, phone number, email, something like that. Name, email, phone number, and email. When you go and buy data, when you go and skip trace data, all you're doing is building a lead list. What separates a lead from a actual prospect is when they engage. When they start to engage with you, they are now a prospect. Is this making sense? Here's the thing. I was just recording a podcast on this little topic right here. 80% of leads that are generated are never followed up with. Yet I hear it, and you guys have probably heard it. Heck, let's get honest. Some of you guys have probably even said this before. The leads suck. That campaign didn't work. The leads sucked. This didn't work. The lead quality sucked. This over here, it's like the leads are all the same. They just keep getting regenerated. These type of things. At the end of the day, the lead isn't the problem. We need to look at it from prospect standpoint, because leads nothing more than contact information. And I want to define the word suck, because a prospect goes into, when we start to talk the prospect side, and actually, let me stop before I keep going. Everybody tracking where I'm at? We're good with this, right? Quick thumbs up or something. Okay. The 5-star prospect is this. When a lead engages and turns into a prospect, they go into stage 1. And a stage 1 prospect is nothing more than somebody that actually engages with you. So you generated the lead. I don't care where it came from. Facebook form on your website, phone call coming in, trade show that you were at, business card into a bucket at a desk somewhere. I don't care where it came in from, referral. Somebody said, hey, hey, Sal, you should probably reach out to Chris. He could use what you guys have. They are at that point, they're a lead. You start doing the follow-up now, you start reaching out, you send them phone calls, you text them, whatever the case. I don't care how long they ignore you, they're still just a lead. The second they reply, they're a stage 1 prospect, meaning they're willing to engage. Now, a stage 2 prospect is somebody that is pleasant, nice, cordial in that engagement. Because engaged doesn't necessarily mean full-blown conversation. I get a lead from Eric Moyer. He fills out a form on my website. And I send him some messages, and all of a sudden I get a message back that's like, F off, get away from me, stop calling me. I don't even know why you're trying to get in touch with me. Is he a stage 1 prospect? 100%, he engaged. Is he a stage 2 prospect? No, because he's not nice. He's not cordial. He's not happy to have this conversation. That's when you know you got a stage 2 prospect. When they start replying, they start engaging, and they're happy about it. They're pleasant. They're respectful. You're sending them information. They're willing to take a look at it, right? They're willing to maybe go check out some other stuff on your website or whatever the case is going on in your process. Now, stage 3, 4, and 5 is where it really gets going and really has some weight. A stage 3 prospect is somebody that knows what they want. You know you have a stage 3 prospect when they know what they want. I reach out to Lorraine. I kind of, I obviously engaged with her, I'm pleasant with her, and I tell her, hey, Lorraine, I'm looking for another way to invest some money in real estate without dealing with tenants, toilets, troubles, and fixing houses. I know what I want. Stage 3. Stage 4 is not only do they know what they want, but they also know when they want it by or when they need it. So Lorraine, I want to invest in, my money in a different way. I want to play with other forms of real estate. I don't want to deal with the tenants, toilets. I don't want to deal with fix and flip, and I don't want to deal with wholesaling. And I want to be able to pull the trigger on this in the next 30 to 60 days. I'm a stage 4 prospect. And then the kicker, stage 5. This is when they tell you that they want you to help them get there. They want you to help them achieve it. So Lorraine, I told her I wanted it in the next 30 to 60 days. She says, awesome. Why don't we do this? Why don't we set up a call next week, get on, talk about some investment strategies, talk about some funding, talk about a budget, see what kind of money that you got playing around with so that we can build a plan so that you're ready to go in the next 30 to 60 days when it's all said and done. Would you like to get on a meeting and talk to me and do all that? And I answer, yes, Lorraine, sounds great. Send me over a link. Let's get on a call together. I'm basically saying, yes, Lorraine, I want you to help me.
Okay.
I call Jordan, right? I stumble on some marketing for Building Appalachia and I start to engage with them. Call them, text them, whatever the case, right? I'm pleasant about it. I'm not picking on them for being some weird West Virginia bumpkin or something like that, right? I'm having a good conversation with them. I tell them, hey, Jordan, I got a house. I'm tired of dealing with this thing. I want to sell it. Where am I at right now? Let's see how much you guys have been paying attention. What stage am I at? Great answer, Kurt. I'm at stage 3. I know exactly what I want to do. Jordan's like, sweet, Shawn, sounds great. Tell me a little bit about the house. But before we even get into that, how quick are you looking to sell? I don't know. I'm just kind of considering it. Where am I at? Still at stage 3. Great answer, Kurt. Thanks for engaging with me. I didn't move to stage 4 because I didn't tell him when, right? But instead I say, what if I said this? Actually, Jordan, I'm looking to sell this thing in like the next 10 days. I got to get rid of this thing. I don't want to deal with it whatsoever. Tenants just moved out. I'm ready to get this thing gone. If I can get it out of my hands in the next 10 to 14 days, I'd be happy. I'm now at stage 4. Jordan says, sweet. Tell me a little bit about the house and then let's do this. I'm going to set up a time. I'm going to come out there. I'll take a look at it, verify it. I can put some stuff together and give you a number as to where we can be. Blah, 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 blah. If it sounds good, we move forward. If not, no worries. I say, sure, sounds great, Jordan. Here's a little bit of information about the property. And I'm free next week at 5 o'clock on whatever, Thursday. I've made it all the way to the stage 5 level. I'm a stage 5 prospect. That's what we call a really, really hot lead. The lead that engaged and is at that 5-star level. Is this making sense so far? Questions, thoughts, anything that you need some clarity on?
This is great because sometimes we need to put certain criteria on leads and what their level is. And sometimes we get
a training.
Huh?
You're getting ahead of me in the training. You want to teach?
Sorry, yeah. I mean, we get a step 1 lead, and all of a sudden we're running to their house. We're doing an analysis. We're spending all the time and money, and then we get pissed off when we don't get the deal. Well, because they weren't at any of the other steps or stages. So, yeah, this is good.
Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions? Need clarity on anything before I keep going here? Okay. So, what moves somebody through these stages? Don't overthink this. It's not a difficult answer.
Us being the guide and asking the right questions.
Bing, bing, bing. This is where marketing and sales alignment come together. We should have marketing out there that talks a lot about what we help with. We should have marketing out there that talks about our timeline, our time frames, and when people can actually do these type of things with us, when they can partake in our services. All right, Lorraine, you might have something where, you know what, you can't really do this program until you've done this program, or you need to at least have this, this, and this in place before you can get to here, and timelines around that, right? Whereas with real estate, it's like, hey, this is what we do. This is kind of the time frame that we can do it in. But just because we have it out there doesn't mean when they engage and become a lead that they're telling us that they're in this case. So to Sal's point, we get a lead inbound, and most of us, we try to jump to right here. Do you want me to help you with that? Before we've ever even found out, are they nice? Do they know what they want? Do they have a timeline that they need to work on? That competition that I was just telling you about, it sounds at the surface, right? When I tell it to you the way that I did, it sounds like, oh shit, right? Armageddon's coming. They're a big competitor. But in reality, is that the perfect solution for every single seller? No. So if I was going to sell against that, that is my angle, one of my angles right there. What makes us unique? We're not a one solution wonder. We've got some flexibility. We can work with different things. Dominique brought a great piece in there. I might not just give you cash. Let's take a look at what might make more sense for you. Would seller financing be better? Would a more of a lease option strategy be different? Right? What is the best? That's what makes us unique. But I can't go into that until I get them through this process. So, how many of you guys have a place for your leads to come into? Pipeline of some sort. Somebody raises their hand, fills out a form, does something, engages, boom, they come in. You got a place where you're tracking all of your leads. I see a lot of heads shaking up and down. How many of you guys know how many stage 1 prospects you have? How many stage 2 prospects? How many stage 3 prospects? Stage 4 prospects? Stage 5 prospects? That's how you want your pipeline to really look. Sales, let me use a different color because I don't think that one shows up very well for you guys. Sales, which in our case is the acquisition side. Anytime I use the word sales, I'm basically talking about our acquisition component. We buy in the form of selling. As real estate experts, real estate investors, we're actually purchasing homes, but that's our sales side of things, right? I'm selling the ability that I can buy your house from you, close, these type of things. We're all good with that, right? So our sales process, really, there's 3 key components to really dial in sales. If you want to close more deals, you want to do more deals in a year, you need a pipeline full of prospects, not leads, and you need to have a really dialed in sales component to it. The 2 that are part of this that I don't really pay too much attention to, because I think it's something that you have to practice and become comfortable with and in time learn. I don't think you can be taught tactically on it. The one is psychology. You need to start to understand psychology of humans, psychology of language, the impact of words, and the psychology of communication. There's also a little bit of skill that comes with sales. That's why some people are really good at it and some people aren't necessarily so good at it. The ones that aren't so good at it, they haven't developed the skill of selling, because it takes a lot of psychology, the listening, the being able to reply with the right verbiage, saying the right things at the right time, these type of things, right? Charisma, tonality, mirroring, pacing, a lot of stuff that some of us that have been in the sales game for a while have had a lot of classes and courses and practice and cutting our teeth around, whereas others don't. But there's one component of the sales process that I think, I don't care how, you could have the best understanding of psychology and you can have a ton of skills. If you don't have a pipeline to track, if you don't have this pipeline of ones, twos, threes, fours, fives, and know where they're at in that span, skill and psychology alone aren't going to help you close more deals. Because our marketing doesn't stop once the lead comes into the pipeline. There is marketing that needs to be happening in between every one of those stages. Not every lead we talk to, not every lead that calls Jordan or Sal or Chris or Lorraine or whoever immediately is like, I know exactly what I want, I know when I want it, and I'm ready for you to come to my house. Some of them we engage with, they're nice, they're friendly, they start asking questions, and they know they want to sell, and that's about as far as they're going to go. Some, they won't even tell us that they want to sell. They just start engaging and they're just, curious. Tell me a little bit about it. I saw you guys. I'm curious what it is that you do, right? That's a stage 2 person. So we have to work our prospects through the 5 stages to make them a full 5-star, because at the end of the day, it's a 5-star person that equals a deal. I can't make a deal with a 4-star or a 3-star or a 2-star, because the 5th point of this star is them telling me they want me to help them. Does that make sense?
Question.
My question, Lorraine, or are you saying yeah?
Yes. Question. Well, yes, and I guess question. So I basically had this situation happen earlier today where I had been speaking with someone who had reached out to me, and they wanted me to work with their partner, right? And so based on what you're explaining, I would have recognized ahead of time what stage they were in, because as we were engaging or as we were speaking today, it was more so of, okay, well, what do you want? And I will provide that for you, versus the opposite, if that makes sense. So me understanding that they weren't really clear on what they wanted, I could have approached that situation a bit better, as opposed to other instances where someone is reaching out and I already know they don't know anything. So they would need everything, as opposed to someone who's maybe just reaching out for investments, but not knowing exactly what those investments are. I can better guide the conversation that way. So the stage 2, 3 and whatever makes sense, because I'm initially coming in like, okay, they're baseline, but not all the time are they baseline. They sometimes have what's the word? Like they have an indication of what they're looking for, and it's our job to maneuver them through. My question is, at what stage? I'll use notes for an example, right? So I get that notes are a niche area of real estate. However, there comes a point in time where, yes, someone is going to want to see actual numbers and doing and all of that information. The way that I've been approaching the process, I think it's at that time where there has to be some skin in the game. Maybe they've paid for something at that stage to then get them that information. So I guess my question is, when does that happen? And maybe that's a business decision, but I feel like there has to be a little give in order for them to have an understanding, but then also there needs to be a boundary of sorts.
So your question really comes down to this. They need to say, yes, Lorraine, I want you to help me understand this better.
And okay. And
you're saying I need money to exchange, skin in the game, right? You got to look at, this is a prospect, and you can have multiple tiers, right? Multiple layers that this prospect's going through. So prospect layer number 1 is getting them to this phase of saying, yes, I want to learn a little bit more from you. I want to go ahead and pay some money, have you expose me to some of this stuff, start to analyze this stuff. Great. Now they go into prospect phase number 2, right? Where I'm going to maybe try to do a deal with them. And they're obviously they hit phase 1 pretty quick because they're still engaging with you. They're still nice about it once numbers come out and that kind of stuff. And now we start working on, what do they want? What type of numbers are they looking for? What kind of returns are they at? When do they want to be able to pull the trigger on this? And now they're back to over here saying, yes, Lorraine, I'm ready to actually buy that note from you now.
Okay.
Or do that
And-
joint venture on that note with you.
And that's helpful because I was thinking of this process as these 5 stages are to get them to the point of sale, but you can still have a point of sale in between these stages to then get them to the ultimate sale, essentially.
Correct.
Got it.
That's why I drew
Okay.
it. That's why I
So-
drew it in the shape of a star going around this.
Okay.
Right?
No, that's
So-
helpful.
There was something we used to use called a readiness level and a sales readiness level, and it was the same kind of process. It still went around. But one of the things they trained us on was, how do you get someone moving from step 1 to 2, step 2 to 3, 3 to 4? And I think of that every time you say nurturing, okay? Nurturing them around the process. And then there's always in sales, no matter what you're trying to buy or sell, there's always that awkward quiet between
Mhm.
both people, okay? And it makes a lot of people nervous. And there's all these things that say first one speaks, loses. It doesn't matter. But perhaps the way to keep the nurturing going when nothing else is conversing is say, so what do you want to do from here? And just ask that question and see what they say. That'll dictate where they are in the stage. And then you can move forward from there. I'm just giving a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say sales is a lot of skill and psychology, because everything you just said, Sal, ties back to the skill of understanding where to use the psychology of language, body language, silence. Right? If you actually pay attention on these calls, I use it like crazy. I'll ask questions and get really quiet and make you guys, somebody finally say something, right? That's the skill and psychology side of it. But you got to have the pipeline to be able to track where these people are at, so you know which ones are 1s and I'm trying to move them to 2s, or which ones are 3s and I'm trying to move them to 5s. Or how many 5s do I have that are ready to go on a timeline? They've already given me the green light and we're actually, actively working. This is how you start to get a really good snapshot of what's going on in the business and be able to say, how many deals can I, if I had to close a deal in the next 30 days, what's going on in my pipeline? Where can I make a deal happen in the next 30 days? Well, if all you've got is a laundry list of just leads and you're not really sure where they're at, what's going on with them, you see how it gets really hard to say, where can I work to make something happen in the next 30 days? So I'm redrawing this again over here. This stage, your stage 1 and stage 2. Sal, you said nurture. Stage 1 and stage 2 is a lot of your lead follow-up. You'll know when they're in at stage 1, when they submit information, get information, or you bought the information, you're putting marketing out, and they reply back. They've hit stage 1. Through continual nurturing, you come to find out if they're stage 2 or not. Are they nice? Do they continue to respond? Right? Or do they start telling you to F off? To go from stage 2 to stage 3, this right here, this is where I really believe it's time to get on the phone. I'm talking real estate, right? When my nurture campaigns are working, people are replying, people are engaging, people are doing things and having conversation with me, it's now time for me to try to get on a phone call, because I want to start to find out, do they know what they want and when they want it? And if I can get them on a call and I can find out they know what they want, but they don't have a timeline, great. I can move that person to my stage 3 area of my pipeline. And I know I got a stage 3 person. I'm trying to work with them to figure out when it makes sense. Right? I'll use our business as the example. I have a lot of people right now in stage 2 and stage 3. People that are engaging with us, people that have told me they know they want to dial their online presence in. They just don't know when they're going to be ready yet to pull the trigger and make the investment. Well, there's very specific marketing that I put out to these people to keep nurturing them and keep us in front, to keep us top of mind, so that when they are ready and have an idea of when, we're the ones that they're thinking about, so that hopefully they say, yes, I'm ready, and boom, they move up and say, we want you to do it. Does that make sense? Real estate's the same way. You are going to have a lot of people that are going to engage. They're going to know they want to sell. They might even fall here. You're going to have a lot of prospects in this phase. That's your money phase. That's where your hot deals are sitting. That's where your attention should be at. Lead generation and lead nurture fills this pipe up here, this part of the pipe. Your sales process moves them into 3 and 4. And through that percentage, them will move over to 5, raise the hand and say, yes, sounds good. I want to do this deal. I like the numbers, or I like what you got. Come out and take a look, give me the offer. These are all things of them saying they want to work with you. That makes a little bit more sense there.
It sounds like there's multiple layers of nurturing messages that have to go through, and they're all different based on the stage they're in.
100%. 100%. Hey, Sal. I know I want to sell my house. I'm not looking to sell it till probably later in 2023. All right, I'm a stage 4. Well, what's later in 2023? I don't know. Sometime later this year. Probably, towards the tail end of the year. Well, we're in February. I'm a stage 4 prospect for you, but you got to do something between now and then to make sure I don't forget you. And I can't just send blanket stuff. I got to follow up with that person in a very strategic way. Better understanding why later in 2023. Now I'm getting into that skill and psychology side to work the pipeline.
So just as a discussion of argument here, the client, the prospect that you talked about, you said was stage 4. In my eyes, since they really are not ready to go, to me, I would have listed them as a 3. Because they're not, if it's 6 months out, I'm just not ready to go.
But
They're not
that's
ready to
when.
go.
They're telling you when.
Yeah, that's true.
They
Okay.
know when they want to do this later in 2023. 6
Okay.
months from now.
Okay.
Probably not looking at doing this until August. That's a when statement.
Mm-hmm.
They know when they want to do it.
Yeah.
It's not right now. So I can't move them because it's not right now. I can't move them to stage 5. Right? If they're not looking to sell till like later in 2023, they're probably not going to let you come see their house today.
Right.
They're going to feel like you're trying to force it. So you got a stage 4 prospect. Now, how do you track that in your pipeline and continue to work it and make sure that you're not forgetting that person and these type of things?
It's kind of like the college football recruiting process. You get the early commits, but the coaching staff has to continue to stay in contact with them to make sure that somebody else isn't coming in, pulling them away, and you keep their commitment to your team.
100%. Because until they step foot on that campus, they're not fully committed. And technically now they're not even fully committed because of the transfer portal, but right. But at least I got them here. Now they've actually said yes physically and they're here. Great analogy there, Kurt. Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions? That's kind of as deep as I wanted to go today. Obviously there's a lot more to unpack here, but
Yeah, there is.
we're going to unpack, for those coming to the event, we're going to unpack the sales funnel quite a bit.
Shawn, this really helps out with not just organizing, but where we're going to spend our time. And, like instead, like you said, you could just take a dart and throw it on the wall and say, okay, I'll talk to that person. But this helps you strategically focus a little better.
And I wouldn't even say, I agree with you, but I would also say this can help you get clarity on what is and what is not working and where there's gaps, right? Phase 1 and phase 2, I just told you that your lead gen, this is why it's called lead generation, because all it is gathering contact information. If your lead gen is doing its job, meaning it's getting leads and you're getting contact information, but you're not seeing engagement, it gives you a little bit of an insight, like what's going on? Why are we not getting, we gathered their information, but why are we not hearing from them? So if I have a very weak stage 1 and stage 2, but I'm generating leads, I won't say a name, but we were talking to a client today, and in the last 8 days, he's generated 87 leads. 87 leads in the last 8 days. Here's the thing. He was saying they suck. They're terrible. And I said, okay, I asked this one question. Of the 87 leads, how many of them have you actually sent a message to, reached out to, tried to have a conversation with, right? Tried to get them to stage 1 and engage with you. How many of them have you actually done that to? Anybody want to take a guess his answer of the 87? Eric, I'd have been thrilled if it was 2.
0.
0. Why? He was expecting that they would just be generated as a lead and then go to this next form and fill out all this information and then go to this next form and fill out all this information and hit the submit button, and then boom, he'd have money in his bank. Well, they hit stage 1 and gave him his information. That's the job of lead gen. It captured the information, right? And then it fell on deaf ears. So he's like, I'm spending a lot of money. Keep in mind, he spent about $3,300 to generate 87 leads. And he's done 0 deals. He's got 0 things in his pipeline working. And when we dissected it, where was the problem? Of that lead gen, nothing's trying to get them to engage. His gap is in his lead to prospect. So by tracking this, we can really start to get some clarity on where's the gap in the business that we need to fix. By the end of the call, it was like, okay, now his eyes are open. He's like, I see. Now I know why you guys are telling me I needed to put this other software in place so that I can send a bunch of emails and texts and that kind of stuff from the second that they did. I assumed, we had all these other steps and forms that the ones that were qualified, they'd go through. He was basically trying to get the 5-star without ever talking to him. All in one swoop. Doesn't happen. We all good? All right.